welcome to a new edition of the Power Player Lifestyle Magazine. This is Lela Christine, editorial chief and director of an amazing magazine that has been in existence since 2009. Can you believe it's been 17 years? Well, we have some amazing people that we're going to be interviewing moving forward into the summer every single week. And we'd like to share the good news about LA Jazz Festival coming up in August, as well as one of our featured guests, Martin Ludlow. So get ready. Moshe Lewis is going to interview him, and we're excited to find out everything you need to know about LA Jazz Festival, forthcoming in August 2026. Get ready, mark your calendar. We are
Yeah,
live.
and we have one of those incredible people with us today, Martin Ludlow, founder, creator, LA Jazz Festival. This is the first time we have ever had such a phenomenal and large festival done in the city of Los Angeles. You've got to tell us some of your secrets. How did you come up with this idea, and what was the inspiration?
Yeah, maybe I'll start with the inspiration, and then I'm still trying to figure out how I came up with it. But the inspiration really comes from my background. I grew up in Ohio. I grew up in a small town called Oberlin. Oberlin is in Northeast Ohio, and Oberlin is famous for two things, for sure. First and foremost, if you want to be a chair of a National Philharmonic, or you want to serve as a first chair instrument in a major musical entity, you want to graduate obviously from Juilliard, Berkeley, or Oberlin. Those are the top three music schools in the world, bar none. So I was blessed as a child to have music lessons as a trumpeter and a drummer from some of the legends in the industry. Michael Mossman, who's a legendary trumpeter out of Blue Note Records and is there still to this day. But got a chance to play on stage with Muddy Waters, Bobby Blue Bland, Preservation Hall Jazz Band as a kid in the local high school. Who gets that?
Wow.
And then second, Oberlin is known for being one of the last stops on the Underground Railroad. So if you were an enslaved human being back, 15, 16, 1700s, and you get to Oberlin by sunup, you and your family had a one-night journey to Lake Erie. And in Lake Erie, you could catch a boat and get to Canada, where slavery was not part of the economic system. So as a kid, walking past monuments to the tens of thousands of people that had come through Oberlin to find freedom, it left an indelible mark in my life, and it changed my viewpoint. Where Oberlin was one of those last stops, New Orleans was one of the first stops. And so I grew up knowing absolutely the pre-colonized Africa drumming that led to its influences as individuals were brought across the Atlantic Ocean to the Caribbean. 7-1 went to the Caribbean over the United States at that time. So there's a heavy influence of Latin and French culture into that African drumming that then migrated to New Orleans and became the true birthing of that melting pot called jazz. And the first term was actually called jazzum, which meant pep and energy. It was misquoted by a reporter, mistyped by a reporter. Never heard that before. And it was called jazz, Jazz. And that name has stayed ever since. So I grew up with that tradition, that knowledge, that information. And so when I got to LA, I was really stunned when LA, as the media market in the world, had its only real major connectivity to jazz being in terms of a large-scale festival. It was a jazz festival that was happening at the Hollywood Bowl, and great music, great musicians, amazing vibe. But when I started looking at all the international jazz festivals worldwide, they had three distinguishing characteristics. Number one, most of them were multiple weekends, if not multiple weeks. In the case of LA, 2 days, Saturday and Sunday. Second, most of these were hundreds of thousands of people. And in the case of Montreal, got up to over 1 million people. In the case of LA, here at the Hollywood Bowl, 18,000 on Saturday, 18,000 on Sunday. And then last, in just like a moment of the gods of jazz really kind of coming full circle, we found that almost half of them were on or near large bodies of water, with Montreux being probably one of the sexiest of all the big international jazz festivals. But obviously, Newport, Rhode Island, right there on the bay. So it just hit me right there that we really need to look at a full-scale, citywide, region-wide jazz experience festival to celebrate the century of jazz in LA, but bring it home with its closing weekend to go 360 degrees and put that culminating weekend on Dockweiler Beach, on LA's coastline, And at that moment, I thought we were done, but really did run into the full narrative, which is probably the last part of the history of it, which is, we ran into the full scale history of coastal racial pushout. Over 150 major resorts around America that were owned by people of color had those resorts either taken by brutality and domestic terrorism, or they had them taken by the power of eminent domain to make way for white-owned hoteliers, corporate hoteliers. And that really is just a narrative that needed to be lifted up. Obviously, a lot of people worldwide are tracking the Bruce's Beach story now. And so we doubled down, worked with the California Coastal Commission, and accomplished something that had never been done before in the history of the state. We were able to get a unanimous decision by the California Coastal Commission to give us a 3-year permit to bring this mega festival closing weekend to Dockweiler Beach. It had never been done before. And so that's kind of how it came full circle. But we really built into that the maintaining of 75% of our tickets being free. We want to keep the coastline open. We want to keep it accessible. We want to make sure that everyday people get a chance to experience the incredible coastline that it is. All too often, we are not able to do it. You don't find many of us that own coastal properties. So we started to really spread this out, open up more shows throughout LA, from the parks to the restaurants to obviously cultural locations. And that's really how we brought all this together. So it's been a journey, 15 years in totality, 10 years in earnest. We got the Coastal Commission permit in 2019 and then, 2021, and we got it right in the height of the pandemic. So that obviously set us back for a few years. And then it was really just a matter of trying to find a believer that would believe in this festival, and that was Airbnb. And they came on as our title sponsor this year, in January, and we took off from there. So, and we'll talk more about Airbnb given the lifestyle subject matter. But really, that Moshe, that's the story and the narrative. But I really do attribute this to the gods of jazz and the ancestors of jazz that really have inspired generations over 100 years now of the art form really changing the face of the world.
Absolutely. Yeah, your excitement, enthusiasm, you covered a lot of points, and certainly we love that. So I wanted to sort of pick them apart one by one. Very
Good.
familiar with Oberlin, having graduated from Juilliard. I'm very familiar with
No
Oberlin
kidding.
College,
I
actually.
didn't know
Yes.
that. That would have been a fun fact for me, man.
Exactly.
So did
No,
I do the
it's
order
awesome.
right? I think I put Juilliard #1, and then I went to
Well,
Oberlin.
well, some people, when it comes to jazz, obviously Berkeley's up there too. So I want to walk through some of that. Talk to us about why jazz really is America's music.
Yeah, I mean, I think going back a little bit to the true founding, I think as immigrants, even though immigration that was very much under a very different context, people did not immigrate from Africa to the United States voluntarily. This was an
Right.
absolute capture and taken from the homeland. But upon arrival here in the United States, the African American story is a story of resilience, and it's a story of creation and creativity. And there's not a segment or a sector of American society that hasn't been impacted by the men and women who, yes, came here in bondage, but oh my God, the contributions are just endless. And so jazz truly was born here in the United States, in New Orleans, and that is undeniable, undebatable. And so it really, truly is American's pure art form. When I grew up, similar to you, playing Handel's Messiah, playing Bach, playing Beethoven, those were not United States-based musicians. And
Right.
so you can't find that anywhere else in terms of what we call mainstream culture. And I do think in the significance of the New Orleans tradition, whether it's a second line, that Native American presence in jazz makes it beyond debatable that Native Americans played a huge role
Yeah.
in that evolutionary story. And it's often overlooked. It will not be in the LA Jazz Festival because that is so critical of an element. So I think in a succinct way, I'd say that to me is why. I think now, whether it's the Dexter Gordons or it's I learned heavily, I was inspired by Wynton Marsalis. He to me is one of the all-time great transitional jazz musicians. I love listening to him play, jazz. I wanted to be him there. But he was my inspiration on classical. I loved listening to him play with the National Philharmonic. And I think that's what's so unique. And then finally, I think it really is the altruism of jazz. It's hard to find a jazz musician on this planet that doesn't give back. That's kind of who they are. They're teachers, they're historians, they're innovators, they're creators. and they bring kids up on stage. I'll just stop on this. Probably the changing point in my life was as first chair trumpet at Oberlin High School. We'll get that straight. My band director calls into the room and he's like, "Hey, everybody, I got a special guest for you all here today." This guy with wily hair walks in and he's like, "Who's the first chair trumpet?" I'm like, "Me." And so he says, "All right," pulls out his trumpet. He's like, "Follow me." And he starts hitting these octaves that were just off the charts. I didn't know, I'd never heard anything like this. So anyway, class cracked up with me trying to compete with this guy. And anyway, as he starts to move out, he turns around. He says, "By the way, Martin, I want you to have my trumpet." There it was. Maynard Ferguson absolutely gave me his trumpet. I still have it right here today. Don't ask me to play it because I didn't. I started DJing. I stopped playing. And but anyway, that changed my life. And I think the significance about it is I saw Terrace Martin do the same thing to a group of kids in South LA the other day. He had a concert with us, and Terrace was like, "Oh, you're not coming up on the stage to just be, like a prop.
No.
You're soloing right now." And I know those moments never leave a child. I remember it like it was yesterday, and it changes your life. So I think that's the part of give back and altruism, pushing people out of their comfort zone that this festival is all about, trying to give back and trying to really emulate the best of jazz artists. So anyway, I think that is all quintessential American. I think that's the better angels of our country. We can talk about some of the other things that we're not so happy about, but I think this is really that asset that I think is undeniably American.
Absolutely. You've touched on it a bit. I wanted to start to try to cover this diaspora. You have the young, you have the well-known, you have the legends. You have such a amalgamation of phenomenal talent. Talk to us about sort of how that is all coming together just from maybe like 30,000 feet, and then we
Sure.
can drill down to some of the icons that you have.
Yeah, biggest blessing of my life, really, I believe in this regard, is Quincy Jones. Quincy loved this idea, loved this festival, rest in peace. And the inspiration that he was to so many people really lives on through not only his family, but people that were right by his side for so many years. So one of the biggest blessings for me was Adam Fell. Adam was a CEO for many, many years. Adam and I were, really getting to know each other at the time that Quincy was going through some challenges, and we knew, over time that the end was coming. And Adam came into my life at a time that I was going through some challenges as well, and so we really bonded. Adam has been that guy on speed dial for the last, several decades. If Adam was calling you, Quincy Jones was right there, and so you can imagine the number of people around the world that deeply revere and respect Adam. He's a follow-through guy, he's a detail guy, and he's got a huge heart. And so he signed up immediately. He became the head of our global artist acquisitions. His relationships have been extraordinary. We then brought on two individuals who, while they may not be quite as known within the music business, are deeply known. Lisa Goich and Jeriel Johnson, they head up the awards agency. Lisa was head of jazz at the Grammys. Jeriel was head of urban at the Grammys. And they came on like gangbusters and just crushed it. They are so respected in their areas. And when they pick up the phone, people are taking their calls. Obviously, they still play a very, very significant role with the Grammys. So we felt out of the gate it was important to bring in team members that had the capacity on the music side to have that reach. But right here in our house, Bridge Street Productions, which is my day-to-day company, our talent manager, Maisha Cairo, and our Jazz Festival Foundation coordinator, Ross Chait, are deeply connected as well. We've put over 500 artists on our own stages. And Ross is a musician, graduated from Oberlin, and went to Laces right here in LA. And he is the sort of day-to-day coordinator and program leader for Michelle Coltrane, and works very closely with the Coltrane family home. And so Michelle's been a deeply connected partner with us all the way back to when we were trying to get the Coastal Commission permit. So when you bring a Coltrane name into something connected to LA Jazz Festival and a Quincy Jones, I don't know,
You're on your way.
You're on your way. So anyway, I think we were very, very blessed in that regard. I do not take that lightly. It really does take a village. It does take a team. And I just really am honored to have such an extraordinarily connected, heartfelt, honorable team working with us to try to bring this to life. And then I'll just say lastly, I really did set a couple of things in motion. I wanted to first and foremost, and each one of them asked me, what would success be for you on this festival? And number one for me was that the artists are international. Right now, we're at 168 artists representing 18 nations and climbing. That to me is a major statement out of the gate. Obviously, the United States is significantly represented there, but 18 nations from South Africa to UK to Venezuela to Cuba to Mexico to Brazil. It's really a tapestry of the world. Think about World Cup just having come through the United States and LA in particular. We're the next World Cup up, and that to me is so important to make that statement. And I think the other goals we'll talk about, but to put the internationalism of the musical lineup, I think is fundamental, and everybody in the team really felt passionate about that. We all obviously knew that we needed to do heavyweights on the main stage, because the main stage is where we're obviously going to be able to move our only paid tickets in the entire 17 days. 75% of our tickets are free across the whole festival, but even free on the main stage. We have thousands of free tickets available on the main stage, but we did need to go to heavy hitters, and we didn't want to go so avant-garde with it that everybody would be like, what? You can't do that. But I wanted to tell the narrative of jazz to hip hop. And I love these conversations. I've had them with Wynton. I've had them with Terrace Martin. I mean, it's a great conversation to have, and we'll dig into that, I'm sure, later. But when you look at the lineup, those artists are so funky and so soulful, and they've got the real transitions and syncopations that really do speak to jazz. And I think that that really had a huge impact on how we would select those first artists for that main stage. But man, we're opening up with Justin Lee Schultz and from South Africa, Joey Alexander from Indonesia, and we're closing with then even we have Original Coffee from Jamaica. But yeah, Janelle Monáe, John Legend. How could you have two better closers on an opening year for something so iconic as this? Two great iconic names, and couldn't be more excited than that. So anyway, musically, kind of how the evolution happened, but I give all the credit to the team. They made the calls, they made the outreach, and that's how we landed where we are.
Absolutely. Multiple settings, multiple age generations as well represented. Talk to us about sort of the youth, students, and then moving up to those that are more experienced, and then we'll get to the legends.
Crazy enough, I was looking at we put together what we call our artist pipeline to just sort of keep tabs on, internationalism, but also gender and age. I think we're close to 30% of our artists are women, and right now somewhere around 41% are younger than age 35.
Wow.
When you think about, Nubia Garcia, incredible sax player from the UK, Joey Alexander, I think he was already a sensation at 12. This is just, to your point, it is about reaching back. It is about inspiring the next generation. But yes, George Clinton is on there. George is still young at 80 or 75, right?
Still running.
Yeah.
I saw him land the mothership in Atlanta the other day for Essence. He's still got the funk, man, on a high level. And when you look at him, engaging with young jazz artists, man, jazz artists just bow to this guy. And you look at what Robert Glasper and Terrace Blanchard are doing with their directorial capacity. They're putting a lot of that, Ohio funk in it. And I love it. So I think the age is a big deal. Terrace Martin still, to me, feels very, very young. He's young at heart.
Yes.
When you see Terrace Martin in a local high school and he's tatted up and he can talk to people, but man, I came out of South Central LA. This is my stomping ground. And man, it's genuine. He really doesn't like to work with people, as he calls it, unless they live south of Wilshire Boulevard, right? And so I think anybody from LA knows what he's saying. And so I think it's not just the age, but it's also sort of the connectivity to this generation. And, for me, Raphael Sadiq is timeless. I'll always hear him and Q-Tip and that, their quintessential tracks. And, John Legend, man, just covers it all globally. Janelle, man, if you question her youthfulness, man, check out the latest videos, man. She is on fire. And just across this whole tapestry, we're actually opening with a legendary man that I just hold near and dear. He's become one of my mentors, close confidants, and that's John Clayton. John is going to be overseeing a big band. John is one of the all-time great upright bassists in the world. It's going to be an all-star band. That all-star band will be very diverse, very eclectic. Our young kids from our LA Jazz Festival Foundation youth band that we bring in from New Orleans, we bring in from Harlem, and we bring in from high schools in inner city LA. They're all working together. So it's going to be that generational moment that gives me goosebumps to think that, man, I was trying to get John's son, Gerald Clayton, on the show, and Gerald's just doing so well right now with his global touring that he wasn't available. But next year, we're going to have Gerald on. But John is just, I call him the Dean of Jazz on the West Coast. Everybody adores him. Everybody loves him. And you can't help but you spend 5 minutes with John, you feel like you're touching royalty, greatness, and one of the true, gods of jazz. Herbie Hancock obviously has the Radius Clause challenges in LA, very locked in with Hollywood Bowl, but he's been absolutely blessing us in any way he can. Stanley Clark, Stanley's doing such a great job with the Santa Monica Jazz Festival. He has sent such positive vibes our way. And I'll stop on this. I had a conversation with one of the biggest benefactors to San Francisco Jazz. He's been funding San Francisco Jazz for so long. And he made it clear to me, because on Friday, before we do our Caribbean Street Carnival in Venice, we're going to actually have a program called the State of Jazz Conference. That conference is going to be hosted by us, but I have intentionally invited the jazz festival directors and producers from everywhere to come in and spend a day with us talking about how do we raise the ecosystem in jazz? How do we keep this thing going? Yes, the LA Jazz Festival is coming on with a lot of energy, but the goal of it is to create that wake where brands from around the world look at LA as a meaningful element of the global jazz storyline and begin looking at how do you support Central Avenue Jazz? How do you support Gardena Jazz? How do you support Long Beach Jazz? That's what this is about. It's a team. We work together. We're going to rise together. And the one thing that's going to be the best is the jazz is going to grow together. And so that's, he called me to say, I cannot believe you're doing this. This was a dream of mine. He's been active with San Francisco Jazz since it's almost its inception. And so he's calling everybody, Monterey Jazz, San Jose Jazz. We're all going to be in LA for the conference. Then we're going to the Caribbean Street Carnival, 4 stages, and then we're going to go to the 2 days on the beach. So that's the kind of brotherhood, sisterhood, jazzhood that I think is exciting. And I'm just really kind of feeding off of everyone else's energy that are getting excited about it. So anyway, I think top to bottom, the intergenerational, and by the way, we're hoping to involve a lot of the schools at the camp in that conference. But I should just end this part on, we have on August 15th, the LA Jazz Festival Youth Camp, and it will be on Dockweiler Beach. So we are covering the costs to bus in 1,000 high school students from around Southern California who are working right now with our camp director to come out. There'll be 4 workshops. First is a history of jazz. Second is a jazz masterclass. Third is working on coastal ecology and how do you really care for this coastline. A real sad kind of reality is that a high percentage of the kids that we're bringing in have actually never been to Dockweiler Beach. They've never been to LA's coastline. They live in the Inland Empire. Some live in South LA, and they've never had that day out on the beach. And then last but not least, in the workshops, we are doing one workshop on mental health. This is a really, really difficult time for adolescents and teens. The grief has struck our family. We went through tragedy very recently. And so we're really trying to reach out to young people and reach them as peers to do it in a way that matters to them. So you take that kind of a moment, and we're hopeful that a lot of those kids and their parents will want to come back the next weekend on that same beach and enjoy, the incredible international lineup. So that's giving you a little bit of the flavor of how we're trying to involve younger people and reach back.
Mark,
Sure. Absolutely.
do have a question for you, and my question is in relationship to the children. I was a jazz clarinet. I played the clarinet.
Okay.
My grandfather was into piano and jazz and all that good stuff from New York. So my question in relationship to the children, how young are you tapping into bring these amazing children to be and participate in everything that you are planning with this particular festival? Because I started at 6 years old
I
in
love it. I
clarinet.
love it.
Yes, I
You
did.
had me beat. You had me beat. I think I was 8 when I picked up the trumpet.
Right.
But that's amazing. And by the way, Leela, are you still playing? Are you still playing at all? Are you...
I, I have a guitar in my living room, and I was just like, oh my God, I was a woodwind, and now I really want to do more of the guitar. But no, I stopped. I got into fashion and then working at the studios, and then, of course, owning magazines. So there you go.
There you go. No, I understand, but I'm sure music has got to still be one of your
Oh,
happy
it is.
places. Yeah, right.
It is. It is.
Yeah, yeah.
I love jazz.
So we are, I really love the question. So, we are going to open LA Jazz Festival in a very unique way. On Friday, August 7th around noon, we're going to second line from LA City Hall up to the Board of Supervisors with a, real New Orleans second line with a banner in front of them saying LA Jazz Festival opens today.
Right.
And we want to engage, we're working with a couple of the downtown childcare centers that particularly are engaged on Skid Row. And we want to do, after we finish the second line there, we want to take the second line over to those programs. So these are preschools. And to me, it doesn't get much, much more intense than that. It's going to be a moment that'll be, obviously it's difficult to see, young kids living on Skid Row. But the joy that they're going to experience, maybe for the first time ever hearing a second line,
Right.
is so powerful with just the brass and the energy and the drums and giving them a chance to dance. And then obviously, full circle to the high school students. So we wanted to go high school first year on purpose. It gets a little challenging with the younger kids and daycare and just all the different dynamics there. But we also think it's important to hit the adolescents. And then lastly, we're really trying to tap into the colleges here in Southern California. USC has reached out. The music program at Northridge has reached out. Loyola, the community colleges, some of the members of the Community College Board of Trustees have reached out. So we're still, weeks and weeks away. For those of your listeners that are out there, obviously we need more support financially. We are not there yet. This is going to take an amazing blessing from the gods of jazz to finalize all the funding of this festival for sure. We need people to buy tickets, but we also need people to reach back to their music instructors, their music directors at their school, their university, and say, hey, I heard the guy, he said they got free tickets. What are we doing as a music program? Let's get some of those free tickets and give them to our students. So anyway, from the early childhood to the adolescents and the college students, and we're trying to do a nice rainbow for year one, and we'll grow year by year in each of those sort of age groups.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And I want to make sure that we cover some of the geography and topography. Talk to us about the various cities. I know you already had mentioned the beach and gave some of it away, but as we march through these gigantic festival, some of the cities that we represent and some of the different things you're doing in Venice versus Dockweiler.
Sure. So opening night will be in Leimert Park, which obviously speaks for itself in terms of one of the most historic cultural cores anywhere in the country. We then, through Jazz in the Park, are touching almost every single council district in the city of LA, which means a great deal to us. We're right now trying to solidify all of the details for the Jazz After Dark. There's a couple that could be at, I won't say their names on air right now, but couple of very well-known ones in Hermosa Beach. But we're doing Jazz in the Park in Inglewood, in Compton, in Watts. We've got one of our first big shows is going to be in Moreno Valley at the Moreno Valley Amphitheater on that Saturday the 8th, which I'm amazing. All the unions in Moreno Valley, led by one of our board members on our foundation, Doug Moore, who's the the head of the United Domestic Workers, followed by Ricardo Cisneros, who's the head of all labor in Orange County, in Inland Empire. They have fully endorsed, they're putting resources in, and they're reaching out to all their union members to bring their families out for that event. So yeah, we're going from Moreno Valley in the east to, really right on the coastline. So LA is that unique region where it is very spread out, but I think this is year one. We just saw, obviously, I wish I had World Cup's budget, but you see the energy in all those different cities and communities, and what a great statement to see, not just the rainbow of the nations that got involved, but the rainbow of the communities that got involved. And, I won't speak about who I voted for in the presidential race, but I will tell you, I think for a lot of people, it actually meant something to see the President of the United States out there representing the nation and giving honor to what this event really is about, bringing nations together. And that's what we want to do here with the festival. So honestly, I think the city, the regional dynamic, we've had to cut back in a few areas. Logistics weren't moving fast enough.
Right.
Finance, it's a process, and but I think we're giving people a taste of what the future can hold. So we know that we have a lot of cities that are reaching out, a lot of municipal leaders, and we would not be here, speaking of cities, if it weren't for Mayor Karen Bass, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. Karen was by my side 15 years ago. I don't even think she was in Congress at that time when she was trying to help me figure this out. And then when she got to Congress, she ended up becoming chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. She leaned in with the Coastal Commission. She actually got all of the members of the Congressional Black Caucus to work with us. It led to the Legislative Black Caucus in the state of California under State Senator Stephen Bradford, who's the head of the Gardena Jazz Festival. They led a motion to get resolutions from their entire caucuses to say this festival is the future of jazz on the West Coast, and it has a place in the world to lift this region up musically. So I just tell you, that was really inspired by Karen back in those days, and she gave me a lot of love and support. And then I don't know if you saw on our announcement on February 4th, we did it on the steps of LA City Hall, and there she was, dressed to the nines. And it was hot. It was like 98 degrees on that day.
Yeah.
And she was right there band leading to get everybody to turn out for the LA Jazz Festival. I love her dearly, and we wouldn't be here without her. So anyway, I think municipally, we've been really blessed in that regard.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I have one final question, and the question is, who has been the most powerful, inspirational person that brought you into the fold of saying, you know what, I think you should do this jazz festival? Who was that one person that was that angelic force where even if you had self-doubt, that person said, you got to push, you got to move, you got to make it happen?
So I'm gonna do this without losing it, because I'm so proud of him. So this is my late son, Martin. This is Martin the second.
Yeah.
We lost Martin last June.
Okay.
And
Listen.
just one of the most amazing individuals that I've ever met in my life. Math genius, valedictorian at LA Center for Enriched Studies. He was an engineering student at UC Irvine. And for some reason that I'll never know for the rest of my life, on his last day of his sophomore year, he texted me and he said, "Hey, Dad, I changed my mind. I thought I didn't need to come home, but I've decided to make other decisions. We'll talk about it later." And he took his life. By the time I got there, I had already lost him.
Right.
And I'll never forget, it was Mother's Day just a month earlier.
Right.
We had produced the Mother's Day Music Festival with Councilwoman Heather Hutt, who's been the other really godsend in this, just through motion she's done. And I'll never forget, we didn't have a lot of budget, and so I didn't have a ton of stage-hands. And so there's a moment when we realized that the huge Mother's Day banner wasn't up on top of this 3-story stage. So I told Juan, who's a union forklift operator, to put me in the 3-story crane and lift me up and let me put the banner on myself. First of all, everybody on the stage was like, "Yep, that's Martin Ludlow right there. He's gonna get it." But I sent that video. Somebody took the video and sent it to me, and I sent it to Martin. And this is just 1 month before he died. He sent me back a video and he said, "Dad, that's right. Love life, laugh often. I'm so proud of you for everything you do. You keep fighting for your dreams. That's why I'm so proud of you."
That is so beautiful. I mean, on that note, we're filled up. Well,
Leela, I was saying you're not gonna get me to lose it.
no,
But
no.
I appreciate you so much.
We
And
appreciate you.
yeah,
And
yeah,
thank you for being a part of the Power Player Lifestyle magazine. I want to share with you and all the readers. When I launched the Power Player Lifestyle, I had left the studios. I had met Diana Ross's daughter, Chutney Ross, and we were at an event, and I was telling her about this magazine that I was going to create, and I didn't have a webmaster. So my friend from USC said, do it yourself. And that was in 2009. It was a truth or dare. And I started it with iWeb. Now, of course, we're high tech. We have a lot of great people.
right,
And
right.
Moshe Lewis is amazing. He also has a platform called Music to Medicine. So our
Love that.
objective, yes, Music to Medicine, because I know he wants to follow up with some more good things, for you. So I'm gonna put that out there. I'm gonna open
Good,
up that platform.
good.
But that's how we got started. The Power Player Lifestyle magazine has been existing and moving forward for 17 years. And I had to go, oh my God, I'm doing the 17 years.
Right.
Yes. So we love to be at the festival and cover and share and all that good stuff. So we thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you for what you're doing. Thanks for the
Thank
interview. Thank you for that last
thanks.
question. And yeah, through Maddie and the team at PMK, whatever you guys need, definitely. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.